your food. Hop, wiggle and pop. Wellness in your groove. Eat right, drink right. Wellness in your food. Hop, wiggle and pop.
Balance your food, balance your life.
Balance your life.
Wellness
ready for us to begin our webinar for this morning, sponsored by, of course, CHRDF. All right. But before anything else, I would like to introduce myself to everyone. I'm Coach JRL Beturbo. I'm currently the Institutional Physical Education and Health Coordinator of De La Salle Santiago Sobel School. And I've been there for the past decade. I'm serving as a teacher, of course, for the first few years until I was promoted as the institutional coordinator. And you will see in the photo here, is my team, very dynamic, diverse physical education and health teachers, and I'm very proud of them. Also, aside from being engaged on my primary work in La Salle Sobel, I'm also an active volunteer of Philippine Floorball Association. My job description now, my task for Philippine Floorball Association is I'm assigned as the Education and Development Committee Chairman, which my goal is to reach different parts of the country to introduce the sport floorball. And of course, I'm the current managing director of the United South Floorball Club. This is our club, which I established since 2016. And I'm creating the program, the activities for the young children, for the youth, and also for adults. We're also competing and participating in different tournaments sponsored by Philippine Floorball Association. And yes, I'm very happy today as your speaker for this webinar because I love to share what I know to more Filipinos. And I think I'm going out of the comfort zone of having guests or participants in the field of physical education because today, I think multidisciplinary, multi-subject teachers, administrators are here in this webinar to join our session. So let's begin. But before that, may I request everyone to join me in this prayer. Let's put ourselves in the holy presence of God. Maybe you are merely inconvenienced. Remember those who live are asleep. May God protect us. May He who have no risk factors remember those who are vulnerable. May we who have no risk factors remember those who are vulnerable. May God protect and keep us safe. Have the luxury of working from home, remember those who must Amen. All right. Thank you for joining me in that prayer. I believe because we're talking about wellness in general and yeah, specifically for physical wellness. But of course, it is also important that we try to tap some parts of wellness or dimensions of wellness. That's why prayer is also important. For today, let me just give you a short overview of what we're gonna discuss or what I'm gonna discuss and share to you. I just simplify this into three parts. And first, I just want to present to you, share to all of you the background why we need to integrate physical wellness in the preparation of our instructional materials. What's the reason behind, basically? Then the second part is that I just want to share to you how are we gonna integrate this in very simple way. It should not be too tasky, or let's say it will not take too much time. Just simple things. How are we gonna include physical activity towards our lessons? And of course, I will at the end I will try my best to answer all your questions and clarifications regarding this matter. So let's move forward. What happened now, right? I believe that in a current situation, all of you know what's happening, and this is the global pandemic. And the word COVID-19 is really famous as of this moment. And in the picture that you're going to see here, you see that the whole world is really affected. And I would like to show you this one. Okay? Based on this map, based on this map, we will see the red dots representing how the countries infected by this pandemic. I know that all of you are aware that this COVID-19 started in China, but if you're going to see, America is really highly affected as of this moment. And of course, because of this pandemic, so many things are happening. At the end of the day, we in the field of education were affected. Not only us teachers, administrators, schools, but of course, our clients or our students. So what happened to them? In the report released by UNESCO, it says here that 1.3, more or less, 1.3 billion students are affected by this global pandemic. About 69 to 70% of schools closed. In this chart, we can see that it says here that the figure is saying that 1 billion, almost 1.2, 1.3 are affected learners. And tama yung sinabi dun sa presentation ko kanina, that 68% of the total enrolls around the globe are affected. And because of this, because of that, the closures, the reason why schools are affected because of the state of the government to close for the meantime establishments and of course educational institutions are affected by that. Just don't mind me if I'm gonna look on the other side because I'm also trying to see all your comments or feedback. I'll try, but most of the time I'm gonna face the laptop so that I can interact with you. Okay, so moving forward, basically this slide presentation is telling that we are living in a pandemic world as of this moment. It's been a century since the last time we had this, right? But now, 2020 is something challenging for all of us. That's why we have this COVID-19. Now, what do the countries do because of the situation? Okay, what each country do? Can you identify which country do this flag belongs? Yan, medyo hindi synchronized yung live natin here in my cell phone. But I think all of you knows that this is China, which is very famous if we're gonna look to social media, right? What did they do? I'm not saying that the entire country did this, but based on the research I've done, China did is that to televise when they did the lockdown, March, February or March of this year, what the country did and the ministry or the deputation of China did is that to conduct teaching lessons using television, right? So that students are actually learning the lessons for a particular. And also, some of the schools did is that they synchronous learning by filming the lessons of their teachers, right? Maybe for the public schools in China, what they did is that for the private schools who have liberty to go beyond, especially if they have a good accreditation school, they have the liberty to go beyond with what they offer. So what they did is that the teachers film their lessons and conduct lessons virtually in a synchronous way, simultaneous, live with their students. All right. So how about this country? You recognize? Yeah. Yan, ngayon pala dumarating yung mga answer for China. But yeah, for this country, yes, it is Hong Kong, right? So what did Hong Kong do, right? For Hong Kong, some of the schools decided to teach their students using applications and tools. And some of the schools used Microsoft Office 365 because, of course, we know, some of you might know that Office 365 is an integration of different tools which you can use as a teacher to deliver instruction. So they maximize the use of these applications. Another, what country is this? Chile, all right? A lot of country Chile did is that to use G Suite for education. It's same as Microsoft, right? It's an integration, no, of a different set of online learning tools in order to deliver instructions. And for UK, of course, who will forget, right? Who will forget Joe, right? He's the record holder now of the most number of viewers for a live feed in YouTube. So he got that record because he's delivering physical education, of course, via YouTube. He has a schedule, and that's what he did. So this is a synchronized session wherein he's demonstrating the physical activity, and the students are doing at their home, sometimes with their family members. All right. How about this one? Of course, we all know Philippines. What happened to us, right? As I try to look back what happened for the past months, past weeks, what happened is that the main concern that I'm seeing right now is the opening of class. Our Department of Education Secretary announced that the opening of class will be August 24. So it's about 2 months from now, more than 2 months from now, in order to prepare. There's also a news that released that President Duterte don't like to have a opening of class by August 24. But the Malacanang cleared that it is the face-to-face. And I know you will agree with that. Okay? Because, of course, of the fear that of infection, of what might happen to students when they go physically to their respective schools. And some of the private schools, including mine in La Salle, Santiago, Subel, we're going to open in July. So some of us will open earlier than the public schools. All right. So all of these things right now, because these are happening, there are a lot of concerns happening right now. And I believe you agree. You may comment here. What are your concerns? You may share to us what are the concerns that bothers you or that makes you think so much as of now as we prepare for the coming academic year. I believe these are some of the answers that you might give, right? I just want to see some of the comments. If what are your concerns? Let's just wait. I'm still waiting for the comments. Some the comments are not that synchronous with appearing in my other device, not synchronous with the laptop I'm using. But anyway, I believe that these are some of the concerns that you might feel right now. Number one is the safety, safety of health, right? Because of the pandemic. Another is that safety if the job we're doing right now will still, we can still deliver or we can still teach. And unfortunately, that I've seen in Facebook that there are some schools already decided to close for the coming academic year because of their capability to deliver instructions, right? Yes, I've seen now the some of the comments regarding your rising concerns. Yes, sabi dito ni Cristel Alister, Aison, yes, internet connection. Right, absolutely. Tama, na isa yan sa mga malaking concern. And going back, yeah, it's unfortunate that there are schools who can cope with the rising demands on how to deliver teaching instruction for the coming academic year. But I hope that little by little, we as one community of educators in the country can help each other to help, especially small schools, even schools, small private schools, in order to cope on how to deliver. Okay, and aside from safety, this changes, rapid changes. You're teaching your students face to face last year. You're not. Some of the teachers are not even still using any learning platforms like Google Classroom, MS Teams, Schoology, and this time there's a change that you need to use this in order to monitor your students. So it's really a concern. And of course, one of the things that I believe schools are doing right now is to prepare, because readiness is one of the biggest concern. Because if you are not ready, for example, this is the way you're going to deliver instruction this academic year, and you're not ready, then for sure you're going to have a problem along the way. So readiness is also a concern. Like us in Zobel, we are trying to improve the confidence of our teacher to deliver synchronous and asynchronous session to the students. And I believe that's the same situation that each schools here in the country and beyond will do in the coming weeks and months. And of course, the access, like the answer, what that I've seen in this YouTube, it says here the access for materials, access for internet connection, right? So it's really a concern that must be addressed. And in addition to that, we can see that there are a lot of terms used right now. Some of those are online distance learning, home-based distance learning, blended learning, modular learning, remote learning, hybrid learning, name it. There's a lot. Asynchronous versus asynchronous learning. And we as the teachers, we have to know and grasp the concept of these terms in order for us to know what we're gonna do, right? So it's also a concern. Familiarization on how to deliver the platform or the methodology to deliver the lessons to the students. And not only are the teachers are thinking about that, I believe that it is also the school administrators in the private school, and of course DepEd. Those are the things that they're thinking right now. But I believe in DepEd there are flexible modalities on how to deliver teaching instructions in a form of modular or online, blended, and so on. Okay? Now, because of that, if you already identify how are you going to deliver teaching instructions, of course, it's also a concern how are you going to familiarize yourself with the learning platform in terms of the learning management system. Okay? So some might use Google Classroom, some might use MS Teams, some might use Schoology. All of those learning management system, they have advantage and disadvantage, and some features that which you might not see with the others. But I believe with what's happening right now, each of that company are really preparing and trying to improve. And as they improve, it is also important that as teachers that we know that what we see now in the interface of a learning management system might not be the same with the other. All right? Just to inform everybody, the reason why I discussed this is for us to identify the background, okay, before we proceed dun sa mismong physical wellness. All right? Okay, then what happened now? Of course, with the current situation, what happened? We call this as the biggest leap of the century or this year, right? Or this decade. Why? Because it really highly affects our life, the quality of our life. No, the way we do before might not be the thing that we can do right now. And aside from that, it also affects our work, right? We believe that unemployment rate as of now here in our country and in different parts of the world are really rising, right? That's why it's a major leap. And of course, to us in the field of education, this is a biggest leap because things are changing right now. I remember when I was invited by Muntinlupa National High School to conduct uh, webinar for them to familiarize or just to be acquainted with Google G Suite for Education. Some of the teachers, and I really understand that most of you that this is your concern on how to deal with the things that will happen, right? So that's why I believe that continuous learning is really important. And if there are school administrators here, if there are deputy administrators, I hope that the preparation will not only via online. So we can also give teachers some modules, or let's say some learning materials which they can read at home in order to catch up with what they're gonna do. Because we believe that some of the teachers, those who will implement the mind and spirit. So and the well individual is one who is happy, healthy, whole, and the who perceive his her life as one with meaning and purpose. If we're gonna read the definition, I believe it's uh, being in your optimal level. Replyan ko sila Miss Mikay. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Sa YouTube live ko, yeah. Pero cut na. Teka lang. May mga nagko-comments pa eh. Anong oras na ba? Yeah, ngayon to, miss. Magsasalita siguro ako din na try ko if they hear me. Audio yung problem eh. Good morning, do you hear me? Okay na. Can I continue, miss? All right. Game? All right. Do you hear me now? Yan. All right. To all our participants, it's okay to encounter things like this because just little insertion. We in De La Salle Santiago Zobel, when we started next generation blended learning 2013, 2014, these are the things that we encounter and we learned this to improve these things over the past years. I believe all of us are, or some of you or most of you are new in this kind of learning platform, but I can ensure that things will be improved as the time goes by. So let's go back to our topic. All right. So I've seen some comments there. All right. And yeah, and I believe we have a lot of participants today. That's why let's go back to our slide. And going back, because of the uncertainties, situations happening around the globe right now, biggest slip that we're talking about in education, I would like to personally share to you how are we gonna integrate wellness, specifically physical wellness, as we design our learning instructions or delivery of instructions for the coming academic year. And as Dr. Richard Gerber defined wellness, he mentioned that this is a state of in which a human being function at an optimal level. Okay, wherein it's an integration, no sound integration of your body, your mind, and spirit to become a better person, right? And if you have this, sound integration of the different dimensions of human being, you can be a better person in all things that might happen. Just for example, the mindset. What mindset do we have right now with this? If we can say that wellness is there with us if we know how to deal and we have this growth mindset to ourselves. Okay, so next, I would like to share this to you. Wherein it says here, let's check right now where we are as human being. Are we in the baseline green color, wherein feelings are calm, relaxed, and contented with what you have? How you regarding the way of thinking? Are you efficient in learning and problem solving with coping with different things? Physical signs. Are you relaxed, rested, energized? How about your behavior? Is it in control of your behavior, or you're always being reactive at the different situations happening right now? I would like to see here in our YouTube comment section where you are as a teacher, as an administrator. Let's try to read some comments. Medyo delayed, but hopefully, even you are there, okay, at the comfort of your home, you can identify you are right now. Because like what I mentioned a while ago, or I don't know if this was still part before Scott in the live connection, no, the audio. I mentioned that in order for us to deliver, no, best learning opportunity for our students, wellness must also start for ourselves as teachers, as an administrators. And I think me personally as a person, whenever I feel some uncertainties, I really talk to other person because talking is a one way of reaching out. And of course, sabi ko nga sa topic natin, physical activity is also. So marami nang lumalabas dito, yellow, some of them are yellow, may green ba? Meron bang relax at this point in time? Yeah. So most of you are yellow, not naman far from green, but at least there, near to the green color. So yun nga, it is really important. We as teachers, administrators, we have this we have we have a mindset, no, a positive mindset outlook in life in order for us also to deliver best for our students. All right. And I would like to present to you the 8 dimensions of wellness. Before, some of us just know that dimensions of wellness or different dimensions. To be a holistic person goes to intellectual, right? It is recognizing creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills, mental, intellectual capability. Another, emotional, right? Coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationship with others, right? Social, developing a sense of connection, belonging, and a well-developed support system. Okay, and of course, spiritual, expanding our sense of purpose and meaning in life. But and of course, the topic that we're gonna deal today about physical, recognizing the need of physical activity, diet, sleep, and nutrition. But as this evolves, we can also say that a good environment or environmental is also one of the dimensions of wellness, together with financial, right? Satisfaction with current and future financial situation. And of course, the work you have right now, occupational, personal satisfaction, and enrichment derived from one's work. So all of this contributes in order for us to be a well person or holistic person. Okay. And of course, today we're gonna focus about physical wellness. So what's the benefit that we can get from this? Okay, grow compassion, more patience and focus, less stress and anxiety, heightened awareness, and increase productivity. If we have these benefits, for sure we can be more more productive and more that we can cope with the certainties or things that might happen along the way, especially at this time. Now, I want also to share to you that because of this situation, before the global pandemic happened, that $4.5 trillion ang market economy ng wellness. That's why you will see in this chart that I provided to you that there are a lot like personal beauty and care, anti-aging, wellness tourism, fitness industry, so on. All of those are contributing to improve the well-being of an individual. Even simple buying of your makeup, right? Buying of grooming materials, things that can make you feel better as a person. All of those are contributor for this kind of market. So going or moving forward, what is physical wellness? Basically, it is defined as taking care of your body for optimal health and functioning. It is also mentioned that physical wellness is our ability, right? Ability to do our daily tasks with alertness and vigor without undue fatigue. It means that, for example, my primary work for today is, of course, to prepare my lesson, teach my students, monitor them, evaluate them. Then, of course, a physically fit or a well person, if we are that, then aside from that nature of work that you're doing, you still have some level of energy to do daily demands, extra demands. For example, after work, you still have time to go to some place, enjoy time with your family, do something productive after that. So that's physical wellness, right? Now, for physical wellness, we can just divide this into three, which is physical activity, enough sleep, proper diet, and nutrition. But primarily, physical activity is really one of the things that can contribute for the development of each individual, especially our students. And because we're talking about we're gonna prepare instructional materials, one of the things that you can integrate among the three, of course, physical activity. I'm also saying proper diet and nutrition. It's also possible, and of course, enough sleep, simply by just giving them a quick nap. But of course, with our situation that we have limited time to deliver instruction, we don't know if we can insert this, right? So these are the things. Okay, so World Health Organization presented some key facts why we need to engage people for physical wellness. Number one, because of insufficient physical activity, so one of the leading risk factors for death worldwide. It is primarily true, okay, that there are a lot numbers are growing that because of inactivity of people, what happened is that in the long run, these are the factors that affects or let's say key contributors in order for them to develop some diseases which lead to death. And sabi rin dito, yun nga, nabanggit ko sa inyo, insufficient physical activity is a key risk factor for non-communicable diseases such as cardiovascular diseases, cancer, and diabetes. All right, may I just give you a little physical activity? When you hear me saying physical, I just want you to do some stretching there in your, right up there. You do some stretching, or you may just stomp your feet. Any physical activity that you do. When you hear me saying physical, and when you hear me saying wellness, I would like you to breathe, okay, 3 times, slowly, inhale, exhale 3 times. All right, so that's just a simple integration, right? So I would like, when you hear me saying physical, the word physical, I want you to do some stretching. You may stand also, okay, but if you hear me saying wellness, then I would like you to breathe 3 times. All right, now physical activity has significant health benefits and contributes to prevent NCDs. So all of these exercises, or let's say household chores or simple physical activity, are all contributor in order for us to avoid quickly getting this let's say non-communicable disease. In the report of WHO, it was also mentioned that globally 1 in 4 adults is not active. And the reason why I included this is because if we develop to our students right now at their early age to be engaged, have a mindset that they need to have a regular physical activity, simple stretching, some sort of extending their arms, some twisting, so on, then they will develop and carry this all throughout their life, which they can also integrate or apply once they are ready an adult. And more than 80% of the world's adolescent population is insufficiently physically active simply because of the nature of work they're dealing, right? And with the things that are going to happen where your students will be facing their devices, I'm not saying all, because some will be having modular type of learning, since they're going to use their devices, of course, they will have more time, screen time, which might affect their physical activity. Okay, so WHO is trying to address this concern in order to make individuals, especially the young ones, and that's the reason why I'm sharing this here right now, so that you can be an ally, you can be a contributor in order for us as community to integrate physical activity through our lessons. Now, let me just share to you some facts here. In a research conducted in China, it shows in this graph that because of the lockdown, right, you will see here the physical activity minutes per week. It says here that before the pandemic, no, the number of minutes per week that adolescents or children in China is having 540 minutes per week. But because of the pandemic, they only have 105. So it shrank to about 20% na lang of this 540%. Malaki ang difference, negative 435. We can also see that inactive, no? Some of the students, children and adolescents are inactive. Before the pandemic, 21.3. Now, during the pandemic, no, inactive sila ng mas mataas, 65.6%. That's an additional 4.3%. And their physical activity is insufficient. Kulang na kulang talaga. Hindi naman makikita din natin yung total screen time. When we say total screen time, this not only involves their cell phone, their gadget, their laptops. It also involves the television, right? So screen time. So lahat lang ito tumaas at makikita natin na during pandemic, they have 2,340 additional of 100,730 in the data presented here. Okay, so ibig sabihin, China pa lang to. But if we're gonna have a data around the globe, we can see that this is almost the same. There is really a significant growth in the number of insufficient physical activity or inactivity among the children now, including to this as the screen time, because the contributor for this is the screen time they're having, right? Even me as a program director of United South Floorball Club, some of the parents are already telling me when will be our virtual training, because kids, the players are already holding their device from morning till the afternoon. But of course, parents must have rules for that. Okay. Now, I have a comparative chart of physical activity effects. Now, here you will see increased inactivity and sedentary behavior maintains or increasing physical activity level. Sabi, if we have a sedentary behavior, worsen disease, activity, and system. Katulad ng present ko kanina. Now, of course, we can control these diseases. Instead na makuha natin siya na mabilis, then we still have longer time to live. And for the poor cardiovascular risk profile, and pag okay naman, you're physically active, controlled cardiovascular risk profile. And ito naman, if you are maintaining physical capacity, maintain functionality. So the other side, of course, decrease physical capacity, madaling mapagod, simple things na gagawin lang, umakyat panaog sa hagdanan, pagod na kagad, right? And of course, sabi rin dito na attenuated symptoms of mental distress and kabaliktaran, of course, increased system of mental distress. And the last is, of course, the quality of life. If we are not physically active, we're not going to integrate any simple physical activity with what we're going to deliver, then, of course, might as well, we can contribute for poor overall quality of life. So, yun nga, para maging contributor tayo, maging ally tayo to promote physical wellness, we really need to do some simple physical activities as we deliver lessons, which I'm going to discuss in the coming slides. And sabi din dito, in-include ko na, why should I exercise? My stamina is increased, I sleep better. It is true. And it makes me feel fit and healthy. It sharpens my thinking. My body gets leaner, right? You feel better when you have good body shape, right? It gives me more energy. My muscles and bones get stronger. It helps me to relax. It relieves stress in my life, and my heart becomes more efficient. So we really see the physical activity based on this presentation slide that there are really bad and positive effects if we engage into physical activity. So based on World Health Organization, how much physical activity is recommended? For children and adolescents aged 5 to 17, I believe this is the age included in basic education, grade school up to senior high school, should do at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous, intense physical activity daily. Well, ideally, this is the number of minutes, but we should also recognize that it is not only the standard exercise are the contributors. There are a lot of things that we can do at home or we can integrate in our lesson in order to reach this desired number of minutes for physical activities. Physical activity of amounts greater than 60 minutes daily will provide additional health benefits and should include activities that strengthen muscles and bones for at least 3 times per week. So I just want to show you this simple, this video presentation. Please watch.
Healthy Living Series, Physical Activity for Young Children. What is the difference between exercise and physical activity? Exercise is a kind of physical activity. It is planned, sustained, and also requires certain skills. On the other hand, physical activity refers to any bodily movement produced by our muscles that results in energy expenditure. It includes daily activities of different types and intensity levels. Physical activity has many benefits. It improves social skills, maintains good health and a healthy body weight, enhances movement and coordination, contributes to brain development and strengthens learning ability, promotes muscle and bone development, improves sleep quality. Staying active with your children can increase their amount of physical activity and foster a better parent-child relationship. How much physical activity do young children need every day? Young children aged 2 to 6 should accumulate at least 180 minutes of physical activity every day, which can be split into intervals. How can young children achieve the goal of engaging in physical activity for 180 minutes every day? Is watching TV or playing video games considered as a physical activity? No, these screen time activities are sedentary. Excessive screen time reduces the amount of physical activity and leads to obesity. It even affects children's development of bones, vision, motor skills, and language ability. Having too much screen time not only makes it possible for children to imitate inappropriate behavior, but also affects their sleep as well as social and communication skills. Screen time recommendations. For children aged 2 to 5, their total time spent watching TV and using computer, tablet computer, and smartphone should be limited to 1 hour every day. The screen time activities should be interactive and educative, and be carried out under the guidance of parents. Active young children are healthier, happier, and can adapt to school life more easily. Let's sit less, move more, and play together.
So this is just a summary of what I presented, no? That summary of what I presented in the previous slides, that engaging kids, it isn't the concept of parent, but of course as teachers, no, engaging kids into physical activity is it's not always like in a form of exercise, standard exercise routine. No, there are simple physical activity which you're gonna discover in a while that we can integrate. And for the screen time, it is also important that parents, should also give some set of rules and guidelines to their young ones as they give leisure time for their kids. And I believe each school is preparing their guidelines right now, how the kids will learn for the coming academic year together with their parents. And those are the things. So I hope that you learned something from this video presentation. All right, so let's go. How to integrate physical wellness in delivering instructions. All right. Basically, I just simplified this. No. In order for us to integrate physical wellness in deliver instructions, of course, you need to be familiarized with the different simple physical activity. This simple physical activity includes the locomotor, non-locomotor movement skills, or simple, not that too strict type of exercise that you can integrate to your lesson. And of course, you need to determine which part of your topic or the lesson flow where you can integrate this. And the most important, of course, is that you need to facilitate giving these activities, this integration with appropriate and precise instructions, especially if the physical activity is quite challenging, so that the students will be really guided on what they're supposed to do. So let's go. Okay, so for familiarization with different simple physical activity. All right. Sorry, because I plan to film myself performing some of these movements, but I think some of you or most of you are really familiar with this simple physical activity. We need to be familiar with this so that when we mention a particular physical activity, you are expecting that students will do that physical activity. The term is very important. And the most important is, of course, how to perform those skills. For example, here, slide step, locomotor movement, slide step, walk, run, gallop, jump, leap, crab walk, hop, skip, and roll. So you can integrate these locomotor movements. Locomotor means you're going from one point to another, moving from one point to another. Non-locomotor movements is that in stationary position like stretch, okay, curl, pull, balance, bend, swing, turn, push, sway, and twist. Do you still do the simple request that I told you to do a while ago when I mentioned physical? You're just gonna do some stretching. So you can do some of the stretches presented in the screen. And if you hear me saying wellness, you're gonna inhale, exhale 3 times, right? So, and of course, top 10 power movements, or these are just simple exercise that kids will really enjoy, which you can integrate, like simple plyo push-ups or planks, squat jumps, cartwheels, pull-ups. Pull-ups is a bit difficult. Of course, you need to know, you identify if that's applicable. Mountain climbers, burpees, knee jumps, high fast skips, straddle jumps, and tuck jumps. But it's not only, you can still think more than this. Simple activities that integration or physical activity which you can integrate to your students. It does not only enclose in these types of physical activity. All right. So if you're familiar, of course, next you need to determine which part you will integrate. Okay. So determining which part you integrate is that here, for example, in the modality that you're gonna, for example, if you're gonna deliver a flip learning to your students, how can you integrate physical activity? Okay, for a flip learning, we all know the curve of flip learning that students need to study first the learning materials so that when you have your face-to-face, dati sa classroom, pupunta sila, teacher magtuturo, but this time, virtual na live na, dun mo i-validate yung lesson. But for sa flip, bago dapat dumating yung part na yan, right? Si student, I ready or may a little background now for the task that you're gonna do. So what you can do is that you can integrate some movements or physical activity that they can do before your class, which they're gonna do, or you can set as a motivation on your lesson proper, right? For example, you just tell them to do 10 push-ups, or let's say 10 jumping jacks, all right? When you, for example, in the instruction you provided in your learning playlist or your flip learning is that you're gonna instruct them that in order for us to be awake during our session, okay, you need to practice 10 jumping jacks, because if I do this code, it's not my, I do this, then what you're gonna do is to do the jumping jacks. So ibig sabihin, pagdating ng araw na synchronous session ka sa kanila, gumanto ka, sila students know that they're gonna do jumping jacks, right? So that's a simple way of integrating physical activities through flip learning. Now, for synchronous e-learning, katulad nung ginagawa natin ngayon na live, right? So what you can do is that, like what I did a while ago, if you hear me saying physical, what are you doing right now? Okay? So physical means you need to stretch a little, right? When you hear me saying wellness, you're gonna inhale, exhale for 3 times. And there are a lot of things that you can let them do for a synchronous session. Remember that especially the young ones, their patience or their patience to stay learning using device is not that long. That's why every now and then it's really important that you need to have some coding in order for them to do something that can let them bounce back with the lesson you're doing, or time out, whatever you wanna term you would like to use, that's possible. But let's say just integrate when there's a synchronous session, any form of physical activity, so that they will maintain their focus. Okay, so for parts of the lesson where physical wellness can be integrated, for example, in motivating students, right? We all know teachers, before we proceed to the lesson, we set some motivating activities in order for our students to, get some readiness or alertness in order for us to, before you deliver instructions to them. So one of the strategy that that I formulated is the sport gallery. All right. So what you're gonna do in sport gallery is this. All right. So you're gonna tell your students that you're gonna mention some sports to them or a situation in sports. So while all of them are there in your screen, what you're gonna do is that if you mention, for example, boxer. So when the students hear boxer, you will give them 5 to 10 seconds to stand there in their screen and do some boxing actions that they can do. Same if you mention basketball player, right? So they're gonna do some movements of a basketball player. So that's the sport gallery. That's the strategy. For classroom management, hand signals and coding is also important. So what do you mean by this? So in order to integrate physical activity, for example, katulad na sinabi ko kanina, ginawa ko to, pag gawa ko nito, then the students will do some 10 push-ups. Or let's say students, kung mas bata, they will just bend right and left, okay, 3 sets, no? So hand signals, for example, you do okay. Okay, when you do okay, ikaw bahala kung anong physical activity ang gusto mong pagawa sa kanila. Or when you say naman this one, or you do this one, then they're gonna breathe in and out. So that's maintaining classroom management using different signals. All right, and codings. Now for the lessons naman, okay? For the lessons, etong simple. I believe that teachers are creative enough in which part or what part of your topic where you can integrate physical activity. But these are just samples that I would like to share with you. In a topic about tele or technology, home economics, and livelihood education, food pyramid, right? For cookery, right? So instead of describing the go, glow, grow food, understanding the concept of this, then student may act out. Go, they will run. Glow, facial expression. Grow is sit and stand. So ibig sabihin, ito yung magiging coding, no? For students to understand the concept of food pyramid or the go, glow, and grow food. Another sample. For Filipino, topic, talumpati, dula, at pagsasatao. Okay? Let me read. Isama sa pagtalakay o gawing output ang kabuang pamaraan sa pagtatanghal ng talumpati. Kasama sa mga ito ang kumpas, which is a physical activity ng kamay, at iba pa. Sa mga Filipino, ang mga aralin ng dula, pagsasatao ay talagang nangangailangan ng physical na pagkilos. So, performance-based, right? Maaaring isama o matiyak na maisama ang mga panuntunang pagkilos, pagkumpas, pagganap sa mismong rubric bukod sa mga araling pangwika tulad ng pandiwa at iba pa. So for example, sa PE, merong mga movements na maaaring gawin dito sa output sa Filipino. It is a multi-subject integration already. Wherein the rubric, sa rubric, makikita kung ano itong mga movements na ipapakita dun sa pagtatanghal ng isang talumpati o dula para makita itong mga movements na inaral nila sa PE at magagamit nila dito sa Filipino. So that's a multi-subject integration. Alright? And next, some music education naman. For example, in the topic for high school, music and Philippine festivals. For example, there's a question, what is the common dance step in Sinulog street dance? If you just want to get their idea, or let's say, getting some thoughts about the students or what's their idea. So what you can do is that to let them, you're gonna play a music, then you let them demonstrate any movements which they think belongs to that kind of dance na sinulog street dance, right? So yun yung pwedeng integration dito, right? Music and physical activity. Okay? And sa science naman, taking care of the senses or the body, making their own simple exercises. This one the best way kids can take care of their body. So what you can do is just to prepare a set of simple exercises or physical activity. Then students can do this in order for them to, of course, grasp more, understand further the concept of taking care of the senses of body, because exercise is one way to develop taking care of the body. Next, for math, this is for grade 7, measurement, grade 8, statistics, grade 9, angles, and grade 10 arcs. So for grade 7, how you can integrate physical activity? Students measure not just the object, but their long jump. So it's a measurement. So instead of an object that they're gonna measure, what we can do is that to set a line, let them explain a little how to do long jump, and they do a long jump, and that's what they're gonna measure. The measure comes from the performance that they're doing, right? So it varies. And also for grade 8, frequency, jumping jack. So how frequent? Ito, pwede ring count. In the topic of frequency, they're gonna do jumping jacks. For grade 9, angles formed during straddle stretches. Grade 10, illustrating arcs using body while doing a cat pose, standing back bend, or pose. So, feasible in a certain topics. And I believe maraming topics talaga pwede. Lalo na sa math, maraming pwedeng integrate sa physical activity. Next, for science again, measurement, okay? Use concept of significant digits, accuracy, and precision to prevent numerical data of physical activities such as weight, time, reps per set, length, speed, and other kinematic quantities in physics. This is in a concept of physics, measurement. Okay? And sa language. In language and teaching the topic about verb, instead of students writing sample of verb, the usual thing they do, right? They're gonna list down some samples of verb and show it via screen share. Ito, may integration ng technology na. What they're gonna do is that students will use an app called Flipgrid. Take note, you can use that, teachers. Flipgrid is a good application you can use in order to see performance of your teacher. No, students will use Flipgrid to record demonstrations of their chosen verb. So, ibig sabihin, at least hindi lang alam ng utak nila, they can also perform these action words. Okay? Let me just share this video to everyone. Please watch. Again, in the video, you see there, it's mentioned there that let's help together, right? Because the reason there's a news nga na lumabas na coming na to remove mo na mga subject like physical education tele, right? And I believe sa nabasa ko gabi, it is true that physical education will still be part of the curriculum for the coming academic year. This is one way for me as a physical education teacher to reach out to more teachers, multidisciplinary subject teachers, in order to further understand how important physical activity it is to the life, to our family, and of course to our students. Because of the presentation I did, I believe that at least a little, you gain something, a knowledge or a skill that you can use in order to integrate simple physical activities to your class so that you can stay them engaged, active, and at the same time, learn further what you need to deliver with a lesson and topics that you want them to learn. And I hope that this lesson help you one way or another. And again, if you have any questions, clarifications, I try my best to answer all these questions. Again, I'm Coach JR from De La Salle Santiago Subel, and thank you for listening to my presentation. You have any question? Miss Mikay, should I just check it in YouTube, right? Yep. Okay. Thank you, Miss Mikay. For our participants, as I check the offering of De La Salle Santiago Subel, how are they gonna deliver for the young learners, grade 1 and below, including kinder and nursery? I think it is play-based, right? It's not that too rigid, not too strict like the other levels, but they're gonna really insert physical activity for the learning of the students in a virtual setup. It's really hard for young learners to do asynchronous lesson because they're not that independent. But the teachers provided learning materials with integration of physical activities. That's why they also consulted, no, physical activities. Wherein to learn a simple concept, a lesson. It is in a form of play based. Yeah, basically that's it. Meron pa po kayang tanong? I try to. Thank you, Miss Daisy Rhea. Yeah, I hope that everyone who watched the presentation today will be, in a simple way, you can be part of this advocacy, right? Because at this day and age, like what I mentioned, screen time is really highly increasing, and we don't want, as teachers, as parents as well, to let our students live in a digital world where they've forgotten already the essential of having a quality, or let's say being a person who possess good wellness. All right, may question pa kaya, Miss Mikay? Okay. Daghang salamat yan, Miss Leia Kimada. Okay. I'll try to check some, baka meron tayong mga questions sa mga kanina. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is really for physical education, or let's say MAPE. Pero yun nga, sabi ni Coach JR, you can do simple integration with your lesson, no? Even classroom management, even flip learning, delivering flip learning, or let's say a synchronous session with your students. I think Miss Mikay, mukhang wala naman question. Ito. I have, there's a question. What app do you use to flash your presentation on the screen plus your image? Miss Mikay, sagutin ko na. Yeah. We're using CHRD is using Zoom, right? And they're connecting this to YouTube for live session. Yeah, but to be honest, there's a lot of platforms or materials, tools that you can use right now for screen sharing. I also tried MS Teams. I tried Google Meet, and because of its feature, to share what's in your screen, you can use this. It's just like what I mentioned when I'm delivering blended learning sessions to webinars, or let's say to seminars. I always tell them that in order for you to learn how to effectively use these applications, since the applications are also updating, you really need to always check the entire content of that tools in order for you to be familiarized. But of course, take note as you deliver online teaching this coming academic year, like what happened to us a while ago, we cannot control if internet connection is the problem. That's why us in LaSalle Santiago Zobel, we prepared 5 columns, 5 columns in order to address this. First is offline activity, which parang modular. Another is online asynchronous, at yung isa naman online synchronous. Then of course yung dalawang natitira is if possible na bumalik yung mga estudyante. But again, going back to the question, I encourage everybody to be familiar first with the application that you're gonna use, so that you can lessen some uncertainties while you're delivering the topic that you need to deliver for the students. Let me just go back to the comments. Mm-hmm. Sir, teka lang po. Sir, paano po maituro, coming from Audrey Curtis T, paano po maituturo sa mga batang walang online access po kung ang medium is distance learning? Kung sakali na hindi accessible, syempre sa public school talaga may mga estudyante tayo na hindi sila ganun kadali makaka-connect sa internet, right? Or wala silang internet connection. So, kaya dito papasok yung modular. At kung modular yung ating gagamitin, of course, dun sa module, naka-embed na itong activity na to ay merong insertion ng simple physical activity. So it's like lessons na kinumpile mo for how many weeks or a term or a quarter. Then, as you compose that, nandun, naka-embed na yung ating mga simple insertions of physical activity. Modular based. Kumbaga, dun papasok yung mga sikat na home-based home learning, yung tinatawag School of Tomorrow, yung mga ganyan. So, naka-module siya. Talagang self-paced ng bata yung gagawin na kung saan kapag ready na siya, magte-take siya ng assessment. Like that. Question pa po? Okay, please join us. Okay. Don't forget, I would like also take the opportunity this afternoon. There's a session coming from CHRDF by 2 o'clock p.m. Please join. Anything else, Miss Mikay? I think we're good. Yes, I'm using Google Slides po. Okay, Miss Mikay? I think we're good. Thank you. Thank you, Ren, Miss Mikay.